Here, me.
B94.
Territory where legends are born, and we're here to stay. Our spirits won't decay. In Pittsburgh's light, we're shining bold and bright. Here, the Pittsburgh Steelers season's here. So pour an Iron City beer. The Steelers season's here. Yes, the season's here. The Pittsburgh Steelers season's here. We can't choose to live in our fear. The season's here. Choose to live in our fears because the Steelers season's here. So grab your towel and start to cheer. The Steelers season's here. Steelers season's here. Steelers season's here.
Sound the battle cry, battle cry, battle cry. Boots on the field, yeah. We
we make some noise.
We make noise. We make noise.
The black and gold swarms with a heart of steel.
Of steel, of steel, of steel.
Tomlin's at the helm.
At the helm, at the helm.
And it's all so real.
So real, so real, so real.
Cause I'm watching, and I'm leading, and I'm winning. I'm with the team I'm rooting for. I'm strategizing, never quitting, black and yellow, flowing through my core. Cause it's crunch time, crunch time, crunch time, crunch time. And the steel curtain, whoa, curtain, curtain, curtain. We blitzing with the force, we're bringing more. I'm commanding, command. Steel spine vision, 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 vision. Steel city.
Pumping in my soul.
We got the power, power, power in every hour, hour, hour. Pittsburgh rushes in. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Defense like iron, like iron. Positions firing, 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 firing. But we're here to win. We're here to dominate.
Yoy!
I'm not gonna worry about your level of concern.
Yoy and double yoy!
We talking about Twitter.
Triple yoy!
Think of how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that.
Quadruple yoy!
Let's go Steelers!
Never give up on the Steelers.
Who's coaching this ball club? Mike T.
We mock ourselves.
I've been feeling discouraged. The numbers are down. Steelers Nation is not interested in exposing hot and toxic takes. You know, they want to listen to the same old thing, the power rankings or the grades, the camp grades or the roster grades or the misinformation, the false narratives. You know, I thought we were providing a fresh alternative. The numbers don't lie. The numbers are down. I thought they wanted unique things. Maybe not. Maybe we need to just be a Mark Madden recap podcast.
We could grade him. We could grade those episodes.
Yeah,
But,
he signed. I thought that I was for certain thinking that he was not going to resign, and then he turns out he's back with an extra hour of broadcasting now.
Wow.
2 to 6 on the
Wow.
X.
There's a lot of like STP and Pearl Jam in that lineup, though. If you've ever listened to his show, like it's not just him talking, as I remember.
Maybe maybe we need more songs. More. The streams were hot when Steelers songs first dropped, and now that's gone away. I think all 6 people who wanted it went and listened to it now. So I don't know, but then we get a comment out of the blue like, Iron City Drew, awesome content every week. Dick LeBeau, Double Yoy author, keep the great humor and content going. Thank you, Iron City Drew. Wow. One comment brings the fight back in the dog. Rawr, rawr, rawr. Rawr. Wait, that's the Browns. Brings the fight.
No, but I mean, we all have dogs, and we shouldn't preclude ourselves from loving dogs because of a football team's mascot.
Yeah, that's right. We've got the Cower canines. Still some fight left in this dog.
Indeed.
Won't give up yet. Woo. Soon, maybe soon.
I mean, this is not the most optimistic start to a season we've ever had, I gotta say.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that all turns around when 4 zeros hit the clock in Atlanta. Until then, you get another episode of What Yin's Talking About, the conversation about the Steelers conversation. Want to give a shout out to our newest subscriber on YouTube, Jeff Madak.
Hey.
Jeff, you and Iron City Drew, I tell you what, you guys are halfway into the running. Give me an iTunes review, please, to help us with the algorithm, to give us some eyeballs. I keep saying the reason it's not that people don't like us, it's just that they don't know about us. Mm-hmm. So once Steeler Nation knows, then they'll then we'll be up there along with Jack Sperry or or Hater of the Year, Jarrett, Bailey. Is that?
I don't know. I know I confuse both of those people from their ex-avatars. Maybe
we need to be every day like Chris Carter or DK.
Or Alan Saunders.
Saunders. Maybe every day. Maybe just we'll just live stream from the car. Okay. So much caucus. We've got so much to get to.
Indeed.
I know I promised Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC. That's my fault. I was like Tomlin, I mismanaged the clock, and that's going to be next week, I believe. Mm-hmm. But today there's so much to talk about, how about the captains? Who could find anything wrong about the captains? But yes, there's hot takes on the captains. And then, of course, 72 hours before kickoff, it's all about expectations.
Oh, boy.
I was just ignored some of the national expectations this year. It's just like, enough of the same old. Like, yeah, we ran the computer 10,000 times and found out that the Steelers are only going to win 7.9 games.
AI has been the new thing in that, the artificial intelligence, because that's going to tell you something so different than the computers from last year or the year before.
Or just watching 17 games a year for the last, umpteen years. Yeah. Okay. All right. Enough caucus. It's time for your hot and toxic takes. And we got to start. It's the final week of the Khan season ends on Sunday.
That's right.
So let's get to the Khan takes, starting with at Soul SSBM Soul. All they did was a max restructure this team's salary. Wait, is this the first? I guess it is. I thought. No, we're starting with at the Matt Canada, Dr. Matt Canada. Doctor. Absolutely ridiculous. They re-signed Cam Heyward at this length and dollar amount. Couldn't believe there were some of these takes. We said all through the offseason, we didn't always say, but we kind of in the back of our minds was like, how much could they spend on Cam Heyward? But when you see what actually happened with this contract, is there anything to criticize about it?
They gave him the money that they were always going to give him anyway, that was built into the salary cap and the payments they were already making. And these 2 years if they decide this is the end of the road, then they're out of it free and clear. So there is nothing to criticize here. Like, it's not your money.
Yeah, the truest, not your money, and then if you did any kind of not that you got to be a cap expert or anything,
you don't. That's the whole point. You don't have to be a cap expert to know this is a good deal,
and especially when you find details like now. Let's go to Soul SSBM Soul. All they did was a max restructure this year's salary turned into a bonus and add on 2 team option years non-guaranteed. He didn't get anything extra. So then I guess my question is this, how does Cam Heyward interpret this as a win?
I have no idea. That one I can't answer. This is how he didn't sign this a month ago, 2 months ago. I have no idea because I find it very unlikely that this contract wasn't offered then. The only thing I can figure, and it makes a bit of sense, is it's not like anything was lost in this time. It's not like Cam didn't practice when he could have. He was never going to practice much anyway during this training camp. So I figured the only thing I can think of is that Cam maybe thought, hey, it's worth just waiting a month or two. Maybe I get a little something extra. Maybe not. And here we are. It seems like he could have signed this literally the first day that he could have signed this.
He was, he's talking at parts of the offseason like, he just wanted the respect of, being able to play 2 more years or something. Yeah, well, if they cut you, I mean, it's
right.
like they could still cut you at any point next year.
Yes,
so,
absolutely. So yeah, it is curious. This is that's why it's a cliche to say, oh, this contract was team friendly, but no, seriously, this contract was team friendly.
Yeah, I mean, they could still pull a Ben, final season and say, hey, Cam, we need you to, take a little bit of a pay cut.
Right, you're having a pay cut, or you could take a walk. They could tell you to go, like they did with Troy, like they did with Hines. So all those options are on the table. Just as you kind of mentioned, the only option that wasn't on the table was something that was an improvement for Cam, which is what didn't happen.
This is a product of your journey,
and
your journey's not over yet.
I guess, right? Yeah, the journey's not over.
Exactly.
And there's more good news at Jerry Dulac. Dulac, insider. Mm-hmm. Cam Heyward's new 3-year, $45 million deal will save the Steelers more than $9 million against the salary cap this year, per sources. What is it, a calculator? So now we've got more room to spend, and I mean, we're running out of time in Khan season.
There's not a whole lot left to spend on other than Freiermuth, other than I don't know who else would potentially get an extension. But I mean, Freiermuth is, by the time you see this, it's entirely possible that Pat has signed an extension. That feels like this Cam extension, perhaps the worst kept secret and/or secret negotiation going on in Pittsburgh. But other than that, I got nothing. They could potentially re-sign one of their guys, but it seems like they're saving a lot of money to save a lot of money.
I mean, are you still eyeballing a wide receiver? Are you still eyeballing a cornerback?
I mean, if so, I don't think it's anyone that's still out there. It's not like they couldn't have signed somebody they wanted to sign before this. It's not as if there was some big ticket guy that might have cost some money that they couldn't have afforded. Of course they could have afforded it. Ironically, the biggest name that was out there that signed, A, they could have afforded, and B, went to Atlanta, and they're going to see him on Sunday, this Simmons, the safety out of Denver.
It's not a booster with a big enough blank check.
I don't know. Seems like salary caps is all about blank checks. I don't know how this thing seems to work.
And the voidable year, which is a term that sounds a little more menacing every time I hear someone say it.
Yeah, Star Wars, the voidable year.
Right. What happened? It was a voidable year, and then everyone looks off into space. Yeah.
Well, is there? I mean, could there be anyone else unhappy? How about at Joyce Stacy 13, Jesse Marie? Rather have Najee, but whatever. Oh, is Najee still in the mix at this point?
I mean, I'd be surprised. They could have signed him at any point too, but you have extra money in the couch cushions. Why not? I mean, I would have re-signed Najee back in the day for the 6 or 7 for whatever millions it would have been, the same as the running back in New England. It certainly wasn't an either or. They could easily have signed both. They chose not to, and that was before the money that the Cam extension opened up. So I don't think it was either or. I honestly think in their response to we could sign Najee, their response was kind of whatever, like Jesse here.
It's odd. I mean, is it odd or surprising that, I mean, Najee is playing for way below his worth this season?
Yes, it sure seems that way.
But he hasn't said a peep about it.
No, and everything you've read, I mean, across at least everything I've read across various insiders and people watching training camp but close to the team, have been that he's as fired up and as much of a leader as ever. It certainly hasn't taken a toll on both how he prepares himself and prepares his teammates.
Excellent.
I'm a Najee fan, so I
do like the guy. I do like that. I mean, he has a real personality. He can be moody, but he does have a real personality.
One last thing on Khan season, because I thought we were going to need an emergency podcast because after Ayuk signed, man, it was Khan. You thought Khan was spelled Canada with the.
Oh yeah, no, they were mad. It was, and people like with actual platforms were mad. That was okay. That was the first time I think somebody actually said it. One of the people at the fan said, now it is officially okay to criticize Khan. Like now you can do it. The floodgates have opened.
Well, that's what at D Wins Games Paul says. The old saying of putting all your eggs into one basket has been shortened to pulling a Khan. Oh, it's the guy who got Justin Fields and Russ Wilson for less than a bag of bread is getting condemned because we didn't sign a $30 million wide receiver.
Yeah, and the reports that have come out since were that the offer the Steelers did make to Ayuk was less than TJ because they understood just how bizarre it would be to bring in a guy that was being paid more than your highest paid player and team leader.
And who I think is the greatest statistical Steeler defender of all time.
That would have been very, and that just speaks to how strange it would have been to bring this guy in. I mean, this is an easy conversation for us to have a few days before the game. I mean, if the passing game absolutely falls apart due to, three guys on George, then maybe this condemnation comes back. I do worry that having known Steelers Nation for a while now, that like the second somebody swats a pass away from George, we're going to hear a lot of should have traded for Ayuk.
Well, if Khan season is over, so it's time to talk. Pole position. That's right. The QB controversy that never started and never ends. The tweet from at PFN365, Pro Football Network. These are the teams with the worst QB situations in the NFL. Number 2, Pittsburgh.
Wow.
Come on. You got Russ, potential Hall of Famer, Justin Fields, who is, it can't be worse than Minnesota, who I don't think knew who their starter was. What?
Right. They had a first-round pick that lost for the season. You have the Raiders. That makes sense. That's a tough situation over there. Carolina, who just a year ago drafted the number 1 overall pick quarterback. That feels a little tough. At New Orleans, okay, that's a rough situation. Tennessee, I guess they don't believe in that Levis kid anymore. We've come a long way from the pregame for that Thursday night game against the Steelers and Cleveland. Wow, that's a lot to put the Browns on here with what they are paying and will continue to pay Watson. And the Giants, the same thing. They paid so much to Danny Dimes, still the NFL's best nickname, if nowhere near the best quarterback. So, yeah, I find it surprising. I would have put, if these are the worst, if this is the rankings, then I find it surprising. I would put maybe Pittsburgh, like a lot of things, I would put Pittsburgh in the middle here. I don't think their QB, I think the Browns QB situation is better than this. I think the Steelers is better than this. I think the Panthers is better than this. But, there's some other teams like it. I don't know if the Jaguars don't make the playoffs. Isn't that a pretty rough QB situation?
Yeah.
They gave all of Florida's gross domestic product to the young man Trevor there. And I don't know. This feels like another way to get folks riled up in the content mines, the fallow valley, right before the season starts.
If you said something like most unknown,
unsettled, unproven, then absolutely. But again, I would probably. But worst is strong. But even then, I would leave the Browns out. Unproven. That I would probably do the same with the Giants. I think we've seen Danny Dimes play a lot, and I don't know if he's proven it either. But yeah, it's. And then again, if it was, then I guess if it was unproven, you'd have to include the Bears in here. And there's so many weird, and there's so many places where people are like, the Bears are going to be great this year. And it's like, wow, I'm going to have to see that.
Or the Jets, who haven't had their quarterback threw one pass in the last 2 years, and some are predicting them to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I'm not buying worse QB room.
That's so weird.
Okay.
Wait a second. And the Patriots aren't here either with the number, it's, now that I think about it, this list gets more ridiculous. This is the longest I've thought about that list, having stumbled across it.
All right, let's get to some QB controversy. At the Steelers Wire, Justin Fields had teammates lobbying for him to start for the Steelers. Is this 2023 room all over again, or was it 2022?
I'm trying to remember when the big fight during the middle of the Jets game with Mitch and Deontay and all the or whatever the fight that occurred. I mean, players in the locker room sure are doing a lot of lobbying. Months ago, they were lobbying to get Russell to the team, and now they're lobbying to have Fields start. I would have to, because I think I stumbled across, it was like a sentence in somebody's insiders thing that they were like, hey, there are some players on the team that think Fields should start, which, like, I kind of get. They didn't say which players or in what position or to what extent.
They didn't say any. Here, the quote from NFL reporter Albert Breer.
Okay.
One sentence. It was enough to have some folks internally push for Fields to start. Doesn't say anything about players. Some folks internally. It could be scouts, could be janitors.
The strength and conditioning coach.
I mean, the only person who Najee might be the only. If you had to say it was a player, I'm trying to think someone who's been on the Fields team by, at least by reposting their stuff on IG and stuff.
And even then, that doesn't mean at all. Yeah, and also I think. Fields may not start, but you're going to see more of him than maybe I thought in terms of him playing and them having packages for him and whatnot. I initially thought there'd be none of that, and now I'm coming around the idea there's going to be more of that. So, again, if you, nameless Steeler person, if you are lobbying for Fields to start, it'll happen at some point. You don't have to lobby.
Never say never, but never.
Yeah, never, maybe never. Okay, so the lobbying, we'll see if was it Zach Frazier? Oh, coach, I really think I need an input here on. How about at Steeler Optimism, Troy Krupika? With the Steelers D last year, if their quarterback would have thrown for 3,070 yards, 26 touchdowns, and a rating of 98, they would have been better. Well, that's Russ's stat line from last year. Actually, if we want to break it down, let's be truthful. The 2023 Pittsburgh QB stats were 3,400 yards, but only 13 TDs.
Yes.
So. Yeah, if we can throw 26 touchdowns this year, I would definitely take that over last year.
100%, and that would also imply that the running game was better as well and was better the entire way through the season versus really kind of taking off in the second half. Yes, this exact thing, as we've been saying since the initial Russ tweet on that fateful Sunday evening, is that this is what both Tomlin and those players lobbying for Russell were lobbying for. This is why they were lobbying.
Whoops, yeah. Okay, anything else to say about... How about this? Let's talk Russ.
Okay.
That's at Putrid Lobster, PW season. Russell Wilson, week 1 stats prediction, 19 for 26, 228 passing yards, 2 touchdowns in a win. That seems a little meager. Is that a proper expectation?
I was going to say that feels very early Roethlisberger line, like the ones he used to have in 04, 05, and 06. But I assume what the Putrid Lobster is implying here is that there will be a strong running game that controls the clock and a defense that is able to keep Atlanta's fairly impressive weapons at bay. So also, I think if Russell's only throwing 26 times, then the Steelers are, if not in control of this game, then it's at least manageable. Whether it's close or whether they're controlling the ball with the clock through running the ball, or the defense is getting off the field. I think I think this stat line could be something that shows the Steelers are on their way to a win. Even though, like you, I initially thought, wow, that's smaller than you might think, but that's a good gutted out 2005 victory.
If you're right. 19 for 26, it means that we're running all second half because we're just kind of to kill the clock, right? Then again, maybe I will take this over a 40 passing attempt game where we're in the fourth trying to.
And also, it just hit me now. Part of this line could also be like Justin Fields, 4 carries, 32 yards, 3 first downs, and that's part of this stat line too.
He can keep my tombstone or whatever. I'll take the W.
Right. Put Russ's tombstone away. We're going to take the W. But then again, you can't talk QBs without some speculation and recollection. At stat_Ron Yurko. More than willing to begin the Drew Aller to Steelers campaign today after week 1 of college football. Hey, we said Shader Sanders. Why not Penn State Drew Aller? Right? They loved Kenny his rookie year, and why not a Penn Stater?
I also saw was it Pro Football Network? Was it PFF? But somebody put out the mock draft first round already, and the 18th overall pick from University of Miami, Florida. The Steelers drafted their quarterback, so that's another one to keep out there anytime. And this was, and some people may remember, this goes as far back as that day that Mason and James Washington put, I think, 7 touchdowns combined on Pitt. Anytime someone has a big game as a quarterback this season, you will hear someone say they should be a Steeler.
Great. More of that. Man, everything is out of order still again? Okay. Let's move on to wide receiver talk. Gosh, why is the iPad not working today? Okay, do I have it? I got it.
There we go.
At Steelers win 109. Minka Bird Steelers. Nothing earth-shattering from Tomlin's press conference, but interesting to me that he admitted he was uncomfortable with the receiver room in the spring, but said he was extremely impressed specifically with Van Jefferson and Scotty Miller. This is a little atypical, maybe, of Tomlin to say something like this.
So. I thought so. And also, and please correct me if I'm wrong, when I listened to the press conference, I thought he said that not only was he uncomfortable with the receiver room, he went in there and told them that. Yeah. Which I also thought was really something. Like, maybe he's done that for other rooms before. Maybe, I don't know, when Antoine Blake was a corner, maybe he went into the secondary room and was like, hey, I am uncomfortable with everyone's level of talent, so you really need to step up here. But that's... I think if there's one thing I feel like we've learned in the last year, it's that you, the nervous, anxious fan who loves this team that has a criticism of it, it's easy to say, Tomlin and Khan, they don't care, they don't listen. They kind of do. They have many of the same concerns that you do, too. You were concerned about the quarterbacks. They got rid of the quarterbacks. You're concerned about some of the other things, and they shifted them.
Coordinator.
Right, Canada. They got rid of them. So it stands to reason, then, that Tomlin walked into that wide receiver room and said, hey, none of you look like it, too. Let's see what happens this offseason. And I also take Tomlin at his word that he was extremely impressed with Van Jefferson and Scotty Miller.
Not good enough.
That's all he said, maybe, and that's all he needed to say.
He just walked in and out.
Okay, how about at D Love Sports? Ready for Jefferson, Miller, Austin, and Heyward to shut these crybabies up. Who is going to be the crybaby shutter-upper? Is it Van Jefferson? Is it Scotty Miller?
I think that would go beyond shutting the crybabies up. That would be genuinely shocking. I mean, I read this tweet, and my first thought was, who's going to shut the crybabies up? It's going to be Pat Freiermuth. That was my guess, looking at these 4 names. But it's not impossible. I mean, you double team George. You have one guy chip Freiermuth and then run with him, and then maybe it's of those 4 guys, someone should be open, right? I mean, someone else out there should be up. Maybe Darnell Washington's going to shut up the haters. I don't know, but it would be really something if someone did.
Even if someone just emerges as the new Ray McLeod, who's like the first down guy,
right?
Yeah. I don't know who's gonna. I don't know
who it is. Yeah, I don't know who's gonna. I'm not picking a guy sitting here on an afternoon before the game.
Okay, how about the alumni take at Trey Day 79, Trey Essex. Once upon a time in not that distance of the past, an Arthur Smith offense with comeback player of the year Ryan Tannehill at quarterback went to the AFC Championship. His best year as a pro after his previous team gave up on him. They had a strong running game. They had a strong defense. They had A.J. Brown as their number 1. Do y'all remember who their number 2 was? I mean, I had a hard time remembering that the Titans were in the...
Right, we were discussing that off the air. We were trying to figure it out. Two things is that what is kind of lost in this is just how dominant Derrick Henry was in the playoffs. I mean, he literally ran Tom Brady out of New England, and then he did the same to the Ravens the week later with Lamar, and gave Mahomes as tough a fight as anyone not named Joe Burrow has in Arrowhead. I feel like the answer to that question is Corey Davis, only because I've seen other people make that point throughout the summer, and apparently that guy was available, but the Steelers didn't sign him either. So it shows just how comfortable Tomlin has become with that room that maybe did not make him comfortable before.
You are exactly right.
I only know that because other people said it. I certainly didn't know.
Because we got the tweet from @ToneDiggs. Man, what a stacked wide receiver room Artie Smith made the AFC Championship with. And it's got, what do we got here? It's, Corey Davis with 600 yards. Then the tight end, Smith, with 400 yards. And then you had 2 more wide receivers with about 300 yards.
Hey, Michael Pruitt there at the bottom.
Oh, and then good old Mike Pruitt with 8 receptions and 90 yards. So... is this what we should expect from the wide receivers this year? About a smattering of 300-yard performances? And
I mean, that'd be pretty great. I don't know. I'm sitting here today, and you tell me that, Van Jefferson gets 600 yards and 2 touchdowns. I'd take it. I would like to think that Freiermuth could do better here than Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
I don't know. By that same token, I don't know if Najee or Warren can do as well as Derrick Henry. Maybe. I feel like there's some context we're missing in this analogy between the Steelers of now and the Titans of then, but I don't know what it is.
I mean, I went back and looked at every receiving room under Tomlin, and of course there was the Duck year that was pretty bad, and then the last 2 years, the Kenny, Mitch, Mason years were pretty meager as well. But wouldn't you be surprised that the 2008 wide receiver room, the year we went to the Super Bowl, I think had 1,000-yard receiver, and then kind of something more like this. So
I can believe it. That was that was the team that kind of at the end of an era, and not necessarily going on fumes, but I mean they were giving what they still had in the tank.
Okay, how about... Oh, and we're forgetting about one other, @ChadBrown47, the fan of steel. Everyone worried about the wide receiver squad. Don't forget, Cordell Patterson can do this too. I mean, are we forgetting to include him in this wide receiver / something room?
Well, I could see. I don't know if we're forgetting to include him as a wide receiver. We might be forgetting to include him as a guy that probably will get a few more carries than you might think. I mean, the guy really can play a bunch of positions. It is wild how he's the returner and the running back and a wide receiver. So and he certainly still has burst. I mean, if there's nothing else I took from that Lions game, I was very surprised by that. So I do think he's someone you will see do some things, but I don't know how often it'll happen, but he's certainly one more option.
Why didn't he pick him up and put him down?
He might be able to put it down, right?
I don't care. It was the backups. That was putting it up and putting it down in that run to the end zone. It really was.
I mean, I could see him being more involved than. They say Calvin Austin is going to open as the number 3, right? So, but Connor Heyward, I mean, I can see that being Patterson touches, all those.
Yes, and it's and again, Michael Pruitt too, who's playing some fullback as well. And it's rare that we have this little idea of exactly what the Steelers' offense is going to be.
That's a fear. That's a fear. I can't live in my fears. Can't live in
right.
Let's go from fear to anger. This is what got me. Man, this
is infuriating.
@_Steal here. Insane George Pickens story per our guy Jerry the Kid, Jersey Jerry, right? Kenny Pickett's buddy. George Pickens arrived at a game 2 years ago, just 10 minutes before kickoff, with a bag of Twizzlers in his hand. He then caught a touchdown in that game. The legend of GP keeps growing. Now, I think that they said it was the Jets game, but he didn't score a touchdown in the Jets game.
No, he didn't.
So it would have had to have been he had 3 home touchdowns in 2022, which he started them all. So you're telling me that he showed 10 minutes. They're doing they're announcing the lineup 10 minutes before the game.
Absolutely.
So you're telling me that's when he rolls in. That would have been
get stretched.
Yeah, so we're talking Week 10 versus Cincinnati, which was a loss. Week 15 against the Raiders, where he caught the game-winning. That was the Franco game, right?
Yes.
And then Week 17 against Cleveland, also a win. So, no discipline. He just rolled in from the car, suited up as they were announcing lineups, and then went out there and still, no discipline, no nothing. No one spotted him. It just all reeks to me of malarkey.
And it also helped that, they're obviously reading Steelers Twitter will make you question your faith in everything. But this particular story was debunked so thoroughly by so many different parties that it was, if not reassuring, then at least better than things usually are.
Yeah,
that's a joke to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. This is as asinine a story as possible. Obviously, this venue is one of the few that would ever even put out something so silly. But I believe it was the photographer from Steelers Now that laid out all the many different ways. Yeah, this guy that this absolutely could not happen.
You're talking about Thompson Photo 12, Ed Thompson. The weird thing is, we were at Acrisure Stadium every game day 4 hours early solely to get images of players walking in with their street clothes on. Never not been there. Now, Pickens isn't the first one through the door, but he never showed up 10 minutes before kickoff. This is a fake story or grossly inaccurate. Well, yeah, how inaccurate would it have to be?
Maybe he showed up with photographer. He doesn't have to have the best written tweet. I thought the same thing is true. It's fake and grossly inaccurate. Oh, okay.
Yeah, maybe he showed up once with a bag of Twizzlers. That might be the only.
Absolutely. Or even, and I'm willing to believe that once or twice George showed up later than he was supposed to. But I can also see somebody telling this story to some rather credulous folks and being like, oh, yeah, George showed up real late, 10 minutes before the game. And them being like, oh, wow, that definitely happened.
Jersey Jerry. This is the guy who I think sparked it was a buddy of Jersey Jerry who sparked the whole can he refuse to dress last season, right? So
it's almost like people that make an entire living talking about a football team online shouldn't be trusted.
All the more reason to trust this show.
Right.
Why are you going to Jersey Jerry?
Honest to God.
Right? You want to? There's only so much time in our lives, and then it's all gone. And you're going to waste it listening to Jersey Jerry?
Let Kyle instead waste that time listening to Jersey Jerry. This was egregious even by the standards of people talking about the Steelers on Twitter.
Yes. Okay. Because we'll bring you, if you want outrageous talk, how about the tweets about the Steelers captains? @Yinsburg Sports, Yinsburg Adam. This is the third straight year a quarterback has been with the team only 1 year or less and has been named the captain. I feel like there isn't much authenticity behind that, and we shouldn't just name the starting QB the captain just because. Oh, right. Who else would be the offensive captain? What are we going to put? James Daniels. I mean, if we're going strictly by tenure, I guess it would be Dan Moore Jr., Captain.
Captain Dan. No, the important thing to remember about this is that we don't have a vote. The players do. The locker room picks this, and they picked Russell. They picked Mitch before that, and then they picked Kenny. No, the locker room picks who the captain is. It's not something we can vote on through a FedEx poll online.
Is there any reason not? I can't think of any reason not to name Russ. He's been doing the charm tour all spring and summer.
Right, and the way I took it, and I think this has been kind of corroborated by a lot of folks reporting, is that we're getting the charm tour from Russ, and so too are the people inside that locker room, a.k.a. the ones who voted him captain.
Including Tomlin, who spends 4 hours. When's the last time he spent 4 hours with anybody who didn't have his last name, probably?
Right. And even then, yeah, it's when it gets busy.
We still have more captain takes. Mm-hmm. Nope, this isn't it. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. At the Pony Express, Andrew Filipponi, hot take legend. Najee Harris was named a captain after his rookie season, and he looked like the next great Steelers offensive player and leader. Fast forward to 2024, not a captain, fifth-year option declined in a timeshare with an undrafted player. Never made sense to draft him. Oh my God, he wasn't a captain, so we shouldn't have even drafted him. But it is interesting that, he was... Even when he was drafted, it was his leadership cred that was a factor in all that. And Tomlin seemed to be hand grooming him to be a captain. Mm-hmm. They named him a co-captain, and now he's not talking to anybody. So
yes, it has been quite a precipitous fall, and he has been. It was the prior regime that drafted him in the first round. Again, people forget going into that how much trouble the Steelers had finding an actual franchise running back. It was fortuitous that they were able to find one, or at least one that can do that in part as an undrafted free agent shortly thereafter that. But they had a lot of trouble finding a running back who could stay healthy and carry the ball consistently. So that's why it did make sense at the time. That said, it has been a drop. I mean, it hasn't gone as I thought it would for Najee. I'm still surprised they didn't pick up that option, and he still could have a very big season because we think Jaylen Warren will be back 100% on Sunday against the Falcons, but we don't know that for sure.
How much of the team has changed? How much turnover has there been? The people who voted Najee a captain, how much turnover in the roster has there been?
A lot of turnover.
So... okay, all right. Let's talk about...
It's good to see the big boy.
My big fear, O-line, at Justin Pressman. Coaching malpractice by Mike Tomlin and the O-line coach. He's 2 years, we're talking about Broderick Jones. He's 2 years into his career and still doesn't know what side he's on. We've heard this the past month, I think, because this was specifically in response to Tomlin saying there's no decision on what side Jones will play. But Jones has only really played right tackle in the past year.
Right.
So is this even a controversy? He doesn't know what side he's going to play. Well, maybe the place he's played every last 12 months.
It does seem that way. The puzzle for this offensive line gets ever more complicated. In large part, it seems by the fact that Dan Moore Jr. has built it into his mind that for some reason he can't play right tackle, and everyone agrees. I think the Fautanu injury also has a lot to do with this too. I think the idea was to get those guys playing in the preseason and have that going into the regular season, and then absolutely none of that happened with Fautanu's injury. I think it was Dulac that said, that Fautanu, many on the team thought Fautanu was their second best offensive lineman right now. But if he's not 100%, it's hard, and he only practices a couple days. It's real hard for me to believe they're going to put him out there on the right side or any side against Atlanta, barring an injury. So I do think this first game is going to be Moore and Jones. But it's good that they have a backup with the experience that Moore does. but the injuries have severely hampered what it was they wanted to do with these offensive linemen.
I think it was, Moore came up with his own Tomlinism when he said that, it's easier to wipe your butt with your other hand than to switch tackles.
Yes. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, Dan Moore has a future as a coach or a commentator. I mean, the future is bright for Mr. Moore Jr.
That's, they're like, oh, that makes sense. When you talk in Tomlinisms, it's hard to convince people wrong. Like, you're right, Dan, you're sticking at left tackle. And he's, I can't say he's earned it yet. We'll find out on Sunday. But,
yes.
And I don't know, did you see that? I don't know, maybe Dulac listens to our show because did you see he said, well, maybe the plan was to put Fautanu at guard if Spencer Anderson didn't work out
I
there.
mean, it's not crazy. If nothing else, the Steelers have shown they are not at all hesitant to play an offensive lineman outside of the position he was originally drafted for.
Yeah.
If nothing else, they are perfectly fine with doing that.
Okay, it's expectation season.
Uh-oh.
And we've got a bunch. I had to cut back on. There's so many.
Whew.
Let's start with at the 33rd team FB, the 33rd team. Name an AFC team that's not making it back to the playoffs this year. And the Vegas odds have Steelers, most likely, -290 on the odds. I guess. It's not going to be Kansas City. It probably isn't going to be Buffalo. I guess out of the 7 teams, maybe you could argue out of those 7, sure, maybe Pittsburgh is.
I guess it's now the way I'm reading this right. You have to bet $290 for the Steelers that the Steelers won't make the playoffs for you to make $100 if they don't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Am I reading that right? Wow.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I find it hard to believe that the Browns are like almost twice as more likely to make the playoffs with these odds. I don't know. The Texans, I know we expect them to just take off, but that team kind of come out of nowhere. It's very possible they take a step back too. The
Browns don't have Nick Chubb still, right?
Right.
Wait, so
and the Bills are. Josh Allen is great, and they still got some great players, but they lost a lot of guys. They really did.
Okay, well,
that division sucks, so they're very likely to storm through it anyway. But yeah.
All right, let's get to at Zach _46, Zach 46. My 2024 Steeler predictions. Slow offense in the first half of the season, but improved. Potential top 5 defense who was on the field too much, hovering around 500 in the playoff bubble, ground and pound, once again, many heart attack games, and win ugly. So basically, the last 10 years of Steeler teams, I guess this is just the sequel.
Right. It's easy to make a prediction when the same thing keeps happening. Ironically, that's not what a lot of the media thinks, because they continually predict this team not to be in contention and to be under 500 and not make the playoffs or not be contending for them. But this Zach gentleman seemed to have the right idea. It's if you were betting on something, bet on the thing that continues to happen. Eventually, someday it won't. But wow, if you have to make a safe bet, that's the one I'd go with.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, yeah, I'll bet that we're making fourth quarter comebacks, and the fans are going to boo the quarterback and call for the other one, and the coordinator's going to get run out of town. Okay, sounds like safe bets to me. Maybe this is the least hot take of the week. Maybe.
Right.
Okay, how about at Scarpizio Scarps? Still optimistic within reason, but I have concerns. I don't trust Arthur Smith. I thought he was a safe hire brought in to salvage Pickett's career. You can point to 2019 all you want, but that's an eternity ago in the league. This guy was brought in to salvage Kenny. He's not brought in to salvage Russ. What's the difference?
I have no idea. This person used to have some kind of job with the team, right? They used to drive Rooney around or something.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Scarpizio does know somebody or come from something. I forget what it was, but I don't think my personal trust in the offensive coordinator means a whole lot. I have been told that by those who do get to see practices just from reading their work that there are a whole lot of new things that weren't in it before. And again, any improvement should be a significant improvement. So I also don't buy that he was brought specifically to salvage Pickett, because if that was the case, then they wouldn't have reached out to Russ.
Yeah.
That's just dirty rumors.
Right.
There it
That's
is.
dirty rumors. Yeah, I mean, everyone is excited about this offense, right? All the players have been like, we're doing new and exciting things.
Yes, exactly. That is the one thing we have heard, that exact thing. We are excited for this. And it's easy to compare that. Like, were they excited for it last year? It's like, you didn't hear it in the same way.
No.
You really didn't. They were like, yeah, that was a great drive. That was a great preseason game. Nobody was like, we're excited to do this.
But what about bottom line at Danelle44? Hey guys, just a reminder that we don't have Matt Canada as our OC going into this season. I mean, I guess that's a low watermark now. So anything is an improvement on that.
I mean, that's easy for us to say right now. I mean, this will obviously change when they lose a game, 35-32. Or they win one game 40-6, and then the next week lose 17-14. But that is, again, one of those things, like we talked about with those Russell stats earlier that he had last year in Denver, something that the team was betting on, is that they will have this improvement.
Okay, so we can't blame it on the coordinator. Can we blame it on anything? At Mic'd Up Sports 1, Mike Nicastro, Steelers and us, to a degree, I mean, maybe to a 100% degree, have had built-in excuses 3 years in a row. 2021, Big Ben's last year. 2022, rookie QB growing pains. 2023, Matt Canada. This season, they're no more. You choose your own OC and QB. No more ifs, ands, or buts. I don't remember anyone making excuses, though. No one said, oh, this is Big Ben's last year, so, tamper your expectations. Oh, this is a rookie quarterback, tamper your... No, Big Ben's last year, we went to the playoffs with 2 rookie offensive linemen. 2022 QB growing pains. We were chanting for Kenny to come in September
and missed for the playoffs by a game.
And then 2023, we made the playoffs. So I don't think anyone has been making excuses.
Well, I think excuses, the way I took this tweet was to mean excuses why this team isn't contending, why they aren't a team that can, and not just get to the playoffs, but win a playoff game, why they can't compete with the better teams in the league. I mean, I don't think they're a contender yet, but I'm open to the idea that they could be.
Well,
we can't speculate,
right?
And recollect.
It's all I keep. Well, I'll say it again. It's just make the playoffs, and then anything can happen. Even though when you're the 7th seed, it seems to be less likely for anything to happen. But they said that about the 6th seed until 2005.
Right.
So, okay. What about at TM_burner? Pow Pow's chuckle. Steelers do not win another Super Bowl until every player wants to win more than they want personal accolades. Big Snack and the Beard described it perfectly on Cam's podcast. Until the mindset comes back, just have him watching them on Sundays. What? Well, is that the mind? This doesn't seem to be an accolade first team, or
no.
I mean, is there any? There's nothing to this. What?
I do kind of believe on some level, as much as I love Big Snack and the Beard, this might be the NFL veteran version of all these kids today with the weird music and clothes. I will say, and also having been a very close fan of the Super Bowl 43 team, there were some guys that were pretty happy about personal accolades on that team too. I mean, remember everyone was so mad at Santonio Holmes, like that's even though he was the guy that not only made that incredible catch but also saved them in that playoff game against the Chargers earlier than that, and had a great run against the Ravens as well.
Ravens, right? The Ravens game. I mean, that whole playoffs was kind of Santonio Holmes.
But let's remember, Santonio went to party with his kids because nobody wanted to party with him after Super Bowl 43. So, I mean, the idea that, that team was only about the victory and not about personal accolades is silly. I mean, everyone wants to, you can get personal accolades almost in a team game like football, almost invariably lead to success. So, while I love those 2 players, I don't think that's what kept the Steelers from competing with the Chiefs this past season.
I laugh at that.
And who's really going after individual accolades? I mean, T.J. Watt chasing sack leader. No one's going to accuse him of not being a team first guy.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a little silly. I think it was in that bag of Twizzlers that George had when he showed up for the game 10 minutes before it started.
Yeah. The Truth Twizzlers. Bottom line from @Steelers Ruin Me, Rico. We went 10-7 with this. Kenny Pickett's first 2 seasons. Worst TD to interception rank, 13-13. 40th out of 32 teams in yards per attempt, and 40th out of 32 teams in team points per game.
Except they didn't go 10-7 with that. That was Mason came in, and then they won in December. So
okay, good point.
That's kind of the thing about this. Like, I like this person's enthusiasm, and I certainly see no desire to kick Kenny when he's out of town. But it was that December to always. I mean, they for once they really did unleash hell in December, and hopefully they can do it much sooner with a different cast of characters.
With your Hall of Fame, Russ Wilson. Okay, last thing on expectations. Steel Football. Steel Football. This was in German, but I think we can get it.
I think we can, too.
Warren D. Steelers, in my opinion, ein losing season haben worden. Number 1, brutale schedule.
I mean, that translates.
Number 2, uneffener und nicht Eisbenin O-line. That's what I say about the O-line as well. Number 3, bottom 5 wideout room. I guess that's universal.
That's in every language, I suppose. That's how bad. That's why Tomlin had to go in and talk to them in the spring.
Number 4, Dooner cornerback room mit ihnen undrafted free agent slot corner. I think that also seems to be universally translated. And number 5, QB situation.
Okay. That's ironically, this one tweet from these Germans sums up months of thousands of words of Steelers content. This is all you needed was this in a language I don't speak.
Yeah. I mean, if it is a losing season, which of these 5 is going to be, or all of them, I guess, or all of the above is going to be the reason?
Well, I would definitely put 1, 2, and 5 as the likeliest. I'm sorry. I know slot corner is a big deal, but you can't convince me that the slot corner decides 3 games. I'm just not there. The idea that if the slot corner's bad, that's why you lost 3 separate games. There's 11 guys on the field at a time and 22 guys that start on a team. I refuse to believe that the slot corner means that much. If so, then it would be a position like outside linebacker or something. So I understand you want a good one, and everyone remembers Mike Hilton at his best, but man, oh man, I can't see that as what holds this team back from a winning season.
You want a hot take? Yeah, it's not going to be a slot corner who can't run with wideouts. It might be a rookie linebacker who is getting abused from passing attacks, maybe.
Right. I mean, it could be anything. Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible, too. I think they're going to have Queen and Roberts out there the most. But yeah, but if we're ranking things, it's definitely the brutal schedule and the offensive line, which is going to take a while to congeal at best. Would strike me as far, far more likely to what would tank the season versus the slot corner.
Okay, well, I think the band is trying to... Yeah! Da-na-na-na-na, renegade, na-na-na. Some odds and ends, starting with... @Alex_Kazora. Alex Kazora. A new study finds Pittsburgh Steelers fans swear a lot. Steelers fans are the most foul-mouthed in the league. Let's see, this is a poll from, or maybe it's a study from agamble.com.
Gamble.
Steelers have the 5th rudest fans in football behind, no surprise, Philly, Dallas, Vegas, and New England. Not even New York teams on there.
Okay.
So,
Vegas seems odd.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was still Oakland, I'd be like, okay, but Vegas.
Is jagoff a swear word? I don't know.
I mean, again, the methodology that went into this scientific study from the data statisticians at agamble.com perhaps could be held up for scrutiny, But
I think it just, we don't have the updated info from bookies.com on least positive fan bases on Twitter. But, 3 years ago, it was fourth least positive fans. So
right.
I think this corresponds,
absolutely.
fifth rudest in football, most foul-mouthed in the league.
I didn't say it was a stretch of my imagination. I said I was just surprised by the Vegas being included. Yes, I think this is certainly, whatever methodology they used, they got to the right answer.
Okay, so watch your mouth out there. This is a pretty clean podcast.
Yes,
as far
it is.
As,
We really do.
How about some good news? At Pop Shop Guide XL, the Pop Shop Guide, new NFL football legends Funko Pops, including Dick Butkus, Chad Johnson, Terrell Davis, Warren Moon, and Joe Greene. So. We got Kenny Pickett in the Funko last year, and I wasted my money on that. So now this year, it's a safe bet with a Mean Joe Greene Funko.
Mean Joe is a safe bet. I'm more than a little surprised that Mean Joe and Dick Butkus are coming to us in 2024 and not earlier in the Funko Pop lineup.
Well, I think just maybe your average Funko customer doesn't know who I would hate to say doesn't know who Mean Joe is, but.
Right? But yeah, that's a good point. They know Dick Butkus from like his sitcom appearances in the '90s or something. Yeah, that is a good point when you put it that way.
But, no Cam Heyward yet. But then again, no one wears his jersey in the stadium. Why would they buy his Funko? No, who else are we missing? Hines Ward hasn't gotten one.
Oh.
None of the, besides Bradshaw and Lambert, those are the only 70s guys
I'm surprised it wasn't like Swan or something.
Yeah,
like
there's only
Franco.
there's only 11 if you count 12 if you count Snoop Dogg in the Funko jersey. But surprise, there's not a Franco. That's a good one. That'd be a good one.
That seems like that'd be pretty easy layup.
Yeah, I think we'll get Frank Sinatra in the Italian Army shirt before we get a Franco, maybe. Okay, one last thing here. At the Standard 412, the Standard, TJ Watt and his wife Danny Watt announced they're expecting their first child. Usually you don't announce these things until you're about 3 months along, so that puts the due date in March. Do you think that they had to like, okay, Super Bowl's in February, let's not get down to business until after the season?
Hey, if there's anyone that I would believe that would be part of it, it would be somebody this committed.
Now, Mitch Trubisky had the chance to name their kid a Rooney or a Franco, and they declined to choose that avenue. Okay. And look what happened to Mitch's career in Pittsburgh. So, should TJ... well, you got JJ and TJ. Does that mean the next kid's going to be EJ or something?
Yeah, it could be. It seems like in that family, the middle name is the one that matters, where that's the John, right? Or is it James? Isn't that what, I forget what it is. Or Jordan. Isn't he Trevor Jordan Watt or Trent Jordan Watt? Okay, Jordan. Again, the one to look to here is the great Andrew McCutcheon named his firstborn child Steele.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, after that, they traded him to San Francisco, but still, what a trooper.
And he just got a Funko this year in the Pirates jersey.
Oh, so, good to hear it about Koch.
Maybe MJ, maybe Michael, or maybe a TJ Tomlin Jordan. What?
You can't do like TJ Jr. Like that's almost weird. Like, I guess you could Trent Jordan Watt Jr.
Well, if it's Tomlin Jordan, then it wouldn't even be a junior.
Yeah, it'd be T.O.J. Watt Jr. Wow.
Or Debo Watt. Okay, well, gosh, we're going so long, I guess. Well, the season's here.
That's right. It's off-season's finally over.
And, our listeners have already tuned out by now anyway, so...
That's what we've been talking about.
That is what we've been talking about. All right. Next week is going to be Chris Kirkpatrick from Insane. Fingers crossed. Steelers super fan. And we need your iTunes reviews.
Yes.
Because that helps with the algorithm, and I just want to know people are out there appreciating this. Leave a 1 star. I don't leave a 1 star.
Right,
Say,
leave a
we're
bad
sick of it. We're sick of it. We're sick of it. Bring back Jersey Jerry. We'd rather listen to hot and toxic takes. We're sick of the songs. I don't know. Tell me what we want. Just interviews.
That's right.
The Cope interview is the best watched show so far. More than LeBeau, more than Kirkland. So
that is genuinely shocking to me.
All right. The game is Sunday. We'll get into things that you guys want to talk about. Mm-hmm. In the meantime, keep the conversation going. Twitter, yeah, I'm there. TikTok, I'm there at Kyle Kreis. I'm thinking about starting a Slack. Maybe we'll specifically just get what Ian's talking about fans on a Slack.
Oh, that's
and then
a great idea.
we can make fun of takes all week long.
Right?
That way.
Yeah. Exactly. You can find us. Yeah. I mean, it's there. You can send us the take. Like, here, look at this nonsense. That's very much a version of, hey, smell this. But that's where this is headed.
Greg, you're on social media.
Unfortunately, yes. You can find me on Instagram at Greg Benevent, B as in boy, E-N-E, V as in Victor, E-N-T.
You can see us Saturday. If you're in the Southern California area, not even that, if you're in the Burbank area, you can come to Flappers Comedy Club and see some of the best non-Steelers stand-up. If I know you're coming, we'll make Steelers jokes.
I was going to say, yeah, I'll wear a shirt. Kyle will too. Well, Kyle will anyway.
Yeah, I'll probably wear a shirt. All I have is T-shirts, and if it has a button, it's not on my butt. All right. Until next week, keep listening to your coach.
Be their best selves. That's going to be required.
Stay in school.